Today we're going to talk about understanding hip extension. And let me tell you, I believe this right here deserves a whole lot of thought, intention, focus. They say in CrossFit it's a 3 to 5 year odyssey. It's a journey. You have to keep this in the forefront of your mind when you're doing workouts and you come into the box, or if you're at home working out. Hip extension, we're going to talk about why this is important. Understanding it first though, and the first place to begin would be the hamstrings roll. And I will tell you, watching athletes train, this is overlooked both I think in understanding, practice, and perhaps in just even the setup that they're doing to do movements. So the hamstrings roll in hip extension, if you look at the body, if you're here and you're bent over, you're getting ready to do something, let's say like a kettlebell swing. So you have the weight right here, it's in your hand, and then it's down there. The next step is to get that to swing out in front of you. The hip needs to open up, is the term. So the hip right now is closed, and we need to open that angle. So this closed, you open it. You extend the hip. To do that, you have to understand hip extension. And it's this muscle right there on the back of your leg. And it's very underdeveloped in a lot of Americans. And so if you watch most people, they're quad dominant. So a lot of people, to get that to go up overhead, they'll use their quads. What they'll do is they'll actually extend their knee instead of their hip. And you'll see them kind of scoop their body around the weight. It looks something like this. They'll kind of go like that. They'll send their hip up and then swing out. And they'll end up out here like so. So to actually do the movement correctly with hip extension, you have to use your hamstring and your glutes. That's a butt cheek right there, just so you know. Right there, big butt cheek. And so the idea is we want to extend the hip. We need to get it to move forward. And the idea to do so, and I'll show this on a movement in a little bit, you have to be here. And now I need to open my joint with my hamstring, so I pull my hip forward. It's as if I had something out in front of me, and I'm pulling it to my hip. So this version here is, when you understand hip extension, this is the way you would do it. You'd be utilizing your hamstring in its function of your hip extending powerfully. And like we said, this is a 3 to 5 year odyssey, a journey of coming to an understanding of this. So let me show you 10 of these. And you can see my feet stayed flat. They never came up off the ground. The hip was the only mover. Closing that joint, opening that joint. Main idea here is maintaining midline engagement to maximize force application. Now this would be anything in this section between my hip and my shoulder. So this is my shoulder, here's my hip. All of this in between, I want to keep tight and engaged so that I can maximize the force application as I bring my hip forward. So if I'm loose here, and let's say I drop my shoulder, if I'm trying to open my hip and I'm here, it's going to be harder for me than if I have a straight board that's going to just kind of turn straight up. So keeping everything tight is important. Then the last one is, what movements is this useful for? And the answer is everything. Most things we do, if we talk about CrossFit, there's a term we call core to extremity. And this is the idea that anything that we do, we're trying to create power from our hip. This is your main power mover, your hip. So if I can extend my hip powerfully, I can generate the most power in my movements. Now, if I'm doing a movement like a push press, this is working, but most of the work is being done here in my hip. This is where I'm generating power and force, is down in my hip. So pretty much every movement requires you to have a strong core. We say your hip to your shoulder, and everything in between is your core. So when we talk about core to extremity, generating power from here to here, and then let it translate out to our hands, or if we're going to jump into our ankle, stuff like that. And so that's basically the idea. You're looking at understanding hip extension, be patient with yourself, You have to practice this though. If you don't practice utilizing your hamstring for its function, it'll never develop. You'll just keep staying, go quad dominant. You'll do movements in a way that seems habitual, but you want to practice this understanding of hip extension. It is your biggest power mover in your body. So take time to practice. We would love to hear from you. Do it in a kettlebell swing. You can do it in a deadlift. You can do it in squatting. There's so many movements. It applies to pull-ups, pretty much everything. Wall balls, same thing. So let us know your thoughts. Comment in the comment section. If you're not yet following us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, please do that. Give us a like, share it with your friends, and if you're not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that as well. Talk to you soon.